a computer word, it's an English word, domain. That means I'm in the domain means I am the same. All the if some activities work together in the same manner or under one administration, it is called a domain, right? So domain, all the network components, right? So network components, right, is governed under one administration rules. So what is network component? Users, right? Computers, right? Servers, printers, routers, switches, everything under network components, right? So it is under one administrative rules. So that is called all are under one domain, right? So for example, let's see a real diagram. I don't know I have it or not. So let's say this is a diagram, right? So in this diagram, you can see that there are a lot of servers. So they have a, let's say, New York branch, Toronto branch, right? The firewall, the DMZ switches, internal firewall. Then they have storage, right? They have domain controller, database, right? There are lots of servers, right? And they might have another data center. So one data center, this is the left side, let's say New York data center versus this is Toronto data center. But they are on the same one platform, right? One platform. So this is kind of one picture, right? And another picture I can show you, almost same idea. Let's say it is little details, maybe. Remember yesterday we talked about enterprise application. So this is a real very good diagram about enterprise application. Okay, I have a firewall, I have a load balancer. There is something called load balancer. It distributes the load because so when you log into facebook.com, definitely they don't have one server, right? One web server. They have lots of thousands of web servers. Depending on the, so load, it comes to the load balancer. So load balancer says, okay, you are coming from New York, I'm sending you to the New York web server. You are coming from Toronto, I'm going to send you to New York, Toronto web server. So like that. They have lots of web server. In the background, in the middleware, I might have multiple application server. And in the back, I have a database server. Right? And the next diagram, this is a real diagram. And you can see, a application is how complicated it is. You see that. The application has combinations of so many things. Right? This is one application. It has, let's say, when it comes to the here, it has, let's say, SQL Server database. It has, let's say, you see that MQ. MQ is a software. It has different kind of tools like a load runner, JMeter, SQL, and then it has the integration with the WebSphere, right? Then in the background, it has a IBM portal. These all the purple color is the, what is called, not purple, brown color is the Unix server. They have Oracle database. You see that Oracle database, right? So one application, but it has SQL database as well as Oracle database, right? It has Windows server as well as Unix server, combinations of all those things. So how complicated a real application, right? So it's not only that you are doing the QTP using the, testing of that front end piece, right? You have to do a lot of testing other application too. I mean, same application, but other interface, right? So this is the real just picture I would like to show you, that whatever I told you, it is not lie, right? The real application infrastructure will be like this. How many server? It is the production environment. I think it is their UAT environment. In UAT environment, how complicated it is. It's how many server involved. If you even for one application, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost 22, 23 server for one application, right? So this is all about. So now all those server is part of one domain, right? Under one domain. So server is one. So each domain, right? Everybody, all those people are under that domain. Okay, under this domain. So now when in network administrator, it is not your job, it is his job to maintain that domain, right? So I would like to show you how this domain is look like. So in people and tech, we have a domain for people and tech. I'm going to log into that server. I think this is number 5, I believe. So this is in people and tech domain that we created I created for them. So now you see that if I open that domain controller, I'm going to show you that how it is set up. So this is the thing. So you see that this is a domain called peopleandtech.com. Is that? Now, can I make it bigger? Large. Okay. So this is the domain, right? And then under computers, it shows me all the computers that I have in this domain. See that? All the domain is part of this computer. If you double click this computer, it says you that this is the server name is PNT server 03, right? Operating system member of is a member of the domain peopleandtech.com domain, right? So every computer part of this domain, right? Right click, go to properties. It will tell you that this computer is part of this domain, right? So everybody, so this is all the computer and all the users also part of this. If I click users, let's say I create a Virginia, let's say, basically this is my DBA class, you know that I'm teaching DBA here. So my database admin is all the DBA1, DBA2. So if you double click DBA1 and go to his account, you see that what is DBA1 at the rate of peopleandtech.com. So let's say now you join this company. I want to create a user as you. So I say new user, exactly the same thing what you did in your own computer, right? So you name, let's say, Mike Smith. Your first name is Mike, your last name is Smith, right? And I create M. Smith. Your user ID, let's say, your first name, initial, and your last name. So M. Smith at the rate of peopleandtech.com. Next, I give a temporary ID, password ABC star 1234, ABCD star 1234, and user may change log on next time and finish. So now I say that I create a user called Mike Smith, right? So now this way, let's say I can create a group also. So I can, okay, new group, and that group is called testing, right? So now testing is already there. Where is testing? I think we create on the top. The tester, right? Someone will did it. Users testing. Here it is. Testing group already there. So I am now adding member. This two guy is the member of this group. So I say okay, Mike, right? Mike name is S. Smith, right? Or Mike Smith. And SMI. S. This guy is part of the member. So now we make him as a member of this group, right? So when you join, so now Mike Smith joined. So in Monday, his manager will give him, okay, Mike, your user ID will be S. Smith and your password ABC star 123, and this is your computer. right? So when Mike Smith log in, username and password and domain name, right? So he said, okay, my MSP password ABC. Then computer will ask him, his laptop will ask him, oh, you have to change your password. So he'll give a new password, and that password will come. So everything is controlled from here, right? Now let's say Mike Smith is terminated, right? So he is fired, or I can right click, I can go to his properties, right? I go to his account, right? You see, I can see that his password, all those things, right? So I can make him account unlock. I can make him, I can make him terminate. I can make it whatever I want. I can do it from here. Okay. So this is the way that I can control him. If someone say, okay, can you disable his account? Right click. There should be a disable account. So Mike Smith now disable. Mike Smith cannot log in anymore. If I say, okay, enable Mike Smith, enable Mike Smith, I can do it for everything from here. If I want to delete, I can delete. So normally people do not delete. They say, okay, just disable his account so that he cannot log in anymore. Right? Even if let's say, enable his account, and then I say, okay, Mike Smith cannot log in certain time. Right? I say, okay, log on hours. So Mike Smith, you see, by default, he can log in every day. I said, no, Mike Smith, log on denied. He log on permitted from, let's say, from 9 a.m. from this to 5 p.m. Only this time he can log in. Oops, what I did? I did the wrong. So 9, this is 9, right? So up to 9 to, this is 5, I believe. Right, and Monday to Friday. Oops. And this is like this, right? So, or I think we can do it this way, I forgot. So, log on denied, right? Log on denied. I don't want him to log on Sunday. I do not log him on Saturday. So now Mike log in only for this particular time. He cannot log in any more time. You see that all these things we can control from here. So this is exactly real world. So here the company name is peopleandtech.com over there. So it is a domain. Under one domain, I have user, I have computers, I have printers, everything will be I can manage from this domain. The computer where the domain is installed, right? That computer is called. So here, what you see right now, this is called Active Directory. You see that Active Directory users and computers, Active Directory. So Active Directory is a database where we contain the domain, all the domain information. Right? Domain contents. So what is domain contents? User. So domain means user, computers, printers, network devices, all everything. The domain, the server where the domain is installed, that server is, that domain mechanism called Active Directory. Right? So Active Directory is a database where the domains is installed. Okay? And the server where this Active Directory installed, that server is called domain controller. Right? So domain controller is the name of the server, whereas Active Directory is the mechanism. Right? It's the mechanism that by which mechanism we maintain the domain. Right? So these are all like a theoretical thing. Because so now if you remember the yesterday lab that I gave you, right? So yesterday the lab operating system, if you open that lab, if you go down, it will tell you that what is a domain, right? A domain is a group of computers and devices on a network that are administered as a unit of common rules and procedures. Within the internet, domains are defined by the IP address. All devices sharing the common part of the address that are said to be in the same domain. Okay? And then there are, for example, now every company or organization that wants to be an internet with registered domain name to use their online identity, right? And blah. So for example, People and Tech registered a domain name peopleandtech.com. So user on the internet can access their website www.peopleandtech.com, right? And they can use a email username at peopleandtech.com like this. So what is Active Directory? Active Directory is a database of Windows domain where it keeps and tracks of network object information. These network objects are servers, computers, printers, users, services, application, etc. Right? And what is domain controller? Domain controller is a server where Active Directory service is installed. Right? So in the real world, this type of terminology will be here. So now you must be a part of domain, and the server where domain is installed, that server is Active Directory, right? Windows Active Directory. And the server where Active Directory is installed, that server is called domain controller. So Active Directory is known as, so normally we identify this like this. So we say, domain, Active Directory, and the domain controller, right? AD, and DC means domain controller. Okay? So these are terminology, now you got it. Okay? Now, a very important thing I would like to tell you, that is, one thing is called DNS, Domain Name Service. It is a service. So what is this? Right? So this is a very important thing as well as it is very tiny thing. So what is that? Let's say in my organization, I have server 1, I have server 10, I have server 20 like this. All are connected, right? This is switch. All are connected. Right? And my domain name is, let's say, pnt.com. When I create the domain, definitely I have something called DNS. So what is DNS? DNS is a database. It is also a database where it keeps all computer name and their associated IP address. Okay? So before you remember, every server has a name and every server has an IP address. Okay? So now, what is IP address? We talked that it is something like this, separate 4 octet, right? 4 like this, and separated by a dot in the middle, right? So this is an IP address. So computer has a name and computer also has an IP address. So now question is that why I need name and why I need IP address. Computer name only for human. We understand computer by his name. But computer talk each other by his IP address. So write it down. Computer talks each other by IP address. Computer does not talk each other by name. It is only for us. We human give his a name. Like my name is Nizam, your name is Mike, like this. So server 1, server 10, server 20, it is only for our understanding. But computer do not understand what is server 1, server 2. Okay? So, when you type, let's say server 1 wants to talk to server 10, in this organization they have a DNS. He first asks DNS, hey, I'm looking for server 10, what is his IP? DNS is a database, right? He check, okay, let me check my database. Oh, server 10 equals to 10.10.10.10, for example. So now server 1 knows the IP address of server 10. Now server 1 can communicate with him. Okay? So when you type in your browser, let's say www.facebook.com, right? It is a name. It is only for us. Computer cannot communicate by name. So then your computer, your browser asking the DNS, hey, I'm looking facebook.com. What is his IP? So some DNS knows about it. So okay, his IP. Now your browser goes to Facebook server and then pick up the homepage and download to your machine. Okay? So DNS, if you are looking something that DNS does not know, that means your computer will tell, oops, page not found, DNS error. So that means DNS is a so important thing, right? It is a very annoying thing. And if there is some DNS mismatch happen, a lot of problem happen, right? So this is a DNS. Every time when you work in a company, you say this is a DNS problem, this problem. So now you know what is the DNS means to you, right? DNS is a data. So here is an opportunity to show you how the DNSs look like. So on this server, you see that I have a DNS. So you see this is a DNS, forward lookup zone peopleandtech.com. And you see that all the computer name and his IP address is here. Look, every computer, whatever computer I have, every computer has a name, right? I can say, okay, this is the computer name, this is his fully qualified domain name, like people at pntdc@peopleandtech.com, and it is his IP address. Got it? So every computer has a name and their IP address. So DNS is a database. So if I am the People and Tech organization, in this organization, how many computers they have, every computer I have to put it here and their IP address. Okay? So then they can talk each other. So if DNS knows by name, then you don't need to type IP address. You just type the computer name, right? So DNS is a database where it keeps the computer name and as his IP address. Okay? So if I open computer command from here and just type ns lookup. Ns lookup is a DNS command. Ns lookup. Just type ns lookup. You see, it's telling you that okay, now you have pntdc01 peopleandtech.com and this is IP address. So he do the query and he telling you, okay, this computer is pntdc01 and his DNS is 10.10.1.5. Okay, so now, so this is the DNS in there. So in the DNS is also a kind of environment, like a database, right? So now you can ask the, hey, in my home computer, I do not have a DNS, right? When I type facebook.com, how come, where is my DNS then? So that's why in the morning time I showed you. So if you type cmd and type ipconfig, right? You see that ipconfig/all. So here it is telling me my DNS server is this. You see there is a DNS in my computer. So what is this? This means that in my home computer, right? Your home computer, everybody have an internet connection, right? So let's draw your home connection. So this is internet. You bought an ISP, right? Internet service provider. So let's say this is the modem they give you, modem or router, right? They give you a router, right? And in this router you have multiple connection like this. And it also has wireless router nowadays, right? So you can connect your PC1. This is your PC1. This is your maybe laptop 1, right? This is maybe your PC2. And also you have at your home, you have, let's say you have iPod, you have laptop 3, right? It is wireless connection. They are also getting the connection wirelessly, right? So when you type, let's say on laptop 3, you type ipconfig/all /all, you will see all the he is getting on one IP. So now it is a question, hey, from where my computer got IP, right? So the thing is this guy, this router, it has the ISP, right? This is ISP, Internet Service Provider. You have to pay them monthly $50-$60, right? $100 based on situation. So this guy also, this router is not only router, it also has DNS plus DHCP. I'm going to describe this later. So this also has a DNS. So when you type www.facebook.com, it actually asking this DNS. And this DNS, he doesn't know, he will go to the internet. And in the internet, there are a lot of thousands of DNS, right? He will get it from there, right? Once he get it, then he update his database. The first time he go there, and he say, okay, now I know his IP. Second time, if you type facebook.com, he will not go up. He already built up his database, right? So your computer, for internally, all the computer that I have at my home environment, these are all using this as a DNS server. Okay? Now, so now you know what is the DNS at your home. In the corporate world, right, they have their own DNS, right? And that's what I showed you. So when you join a company, like People and Tech has DNS, and here is the DNS you saw the opportunity, right? All the DNS is here. So now this DNS does not know, let's say if I do not know something, then I can make a forwarder. I say, okay, if I do not know something, right? If I do not know about something, right? Then these are my people and take this and that, right? Then I can make a, forwarder to something else, right? Where is those things? It's the forwarder, right? It's okay. If I do not know, then go to the Google, right? Go to the other public website. By default, forwarder. So if my computer does not know anything, he will go to the Google DNS. And Google DNS knows that, right? So he make a forwarding. If he doesn't know, he'll forward other DNS by default, right? And that's the way it works. Understood? So now, so you can see that PC1, PC lab 1, lab 2. So now this everybody getting the DNS. Now another question that in this example, you see that in my computer it said DHCP enable, yes. And also it's telling me DHCP IP, DHCP server 192.2.0.1. So what happened? What is DHCP then? So DHCP means Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. What it does, DHCP provides IP address, DNS address to all client machine automatically. So now DHCP, as my router has a DHCP functionality, it provides IP address to my iPod, to my laptop, my PC1. So I don't need to worry. My computer, everything is getting IP address from him. And that's why when I type this type, from where I got this IP, 192.168, I'm getting from DHCP server. Who is my DHCP server? That modem or router, right? At my home. So now you understand that you don't need to worry about anything, right? Because both DNS and DHCP server built in within that router. That's the way you guys go to the internet, no problem, right? They take care of you. Get an IP address. So that means what? Every computer must have an IP address. Every computer must. So now this IP address we can provide either by DHCP server or statically. So in the server perspective, let's say in the people at tech perspective, if you go to any computer here, so let's say there is a network card properties, right? So if I open ncpa.cpl, this is the command. local area connection, properties, TCP IP. See that internet protocol TCP dash properties. You see that obtain IP address. I put the IP address and I also put the DNS IP address manually, right? Whereas in your home computer, if you open your network card properties, so how to open network card properties? This is a command. Type here ncpa.cpl. It will open your network card properties, and here it is, my one. I think my one is this guy. Right click properties and TCP IP properties and say obtain IP address automatically, obtain DNS server address automatically by default. That means I don't need to put any IP address. It will come automatically from the DHCP server. Right? So what is the command you just learned? How to open network card properties? So to open network card properties, let me open another window. To open network card properties, type ncpa.cpl and then right click on that properties. You can see that everything there. Okay, so ipconfig/all from the command perspective. Now you know what is the function of DNS. You know what is the function of DHCP, correct? Now let's talk a little bit more. So now this IP address, now we are talking about the IP address. So let's concentrate IP address matter. Okay. So as we already discussed that every computer has an IP address. Okay. So this IP address is designed such a way that it is a 4-digit, 4-octet, right? Total 32-bit. So it is a 32-bit address. Now how to 32-bit? Remember yesterday you learned 192.168.1.1. Remember, let's say if you convert this thing into binary, it will be 8-bit. It will be 8-bit. It will be 8-bit. It will be 8-bit. So 8 plus 8 plus 8, 8 plus total 32-bit. Okay. Now, so now you see that we learn on purpose, right? We need this thing. So now as you know, this IP address is a 32-bit address, right? So let's draw the same diagram again. This is my internet. I have a router. So this is their WAN port. I connect here. And I have a LAN port. This is wireless router. Right? I connect my PC1. I connect my PC2. And I connect my PC3. This is my home network, right? Let's assume that at my home I have a lot of things. I have iPod. I have my iPad. I have my laptop. And they are also getting IP by wireless. This is wireless connection, right? So now my PC1, so now my router, when I bought the router from ISP, if you remember, ISP give you a book or a instruction. Most of the ISPs IP address like this. Most of the IP address. This router IP. Okay. So they say, okay, you open it, right? And you do some config. You actually basically don't need to do anything, but this is the right router IP address. So if you open a browser and type 192.168.0.1, you see that it giving me the username and passwords. I don't know I forgot, maybe admin. Normally it is admin, but not. It's something different. Maybe I change it. Let me try. No. If I able to log in, I can show you what is inside. Yeah, so this is my router thing. I can easily log in there. It's just like a small application, right? I can log in and I can do something here. Okay, so this is my router IP, right? Now, as it is a router IP, it has a kind of, so let's say if you, right now, if I open my PC, I found 192.168.0.16, right? So let's say my PC1. So this is PC1. So I type it here, PC. So PC1 IP address is 192.168.0.16. Okay? And PC2, maybe IP address will be 192.168.0.17. PC3, 192.168.0.18. My iPod, 192.168.0.19. My laptop, 192.168.0.20. If you look very closely, you see there is something very similar. What you found? The first three number is the same for everybody, isn't it? Right? The first three number is the same. That means they are the same subnet. There is something we call subnet. Right? Subnet. They are the same subnet, same network. Only the last one is changing. One is 17 and one is 18 like that. So if it is the same subnet, they can ping each other, they can talk each other, no problem. Right? So now, as it is a subnet, so you heard one called subnet. So now there is something called subnet mask. Subnet mask. What does it mean? So that little technical thing, let's talk a little bit about here. So subnet mask means subnet mask. So when we have an IP address, let's say 192.168.0.16. So on this number, there are two things. One is represent the network, and the last one is represent us like a host. Okay? So the network, let's say the first three digit, as you can see, the first three digit is the same here, right? So how come I tell my computer or my network that first three number you cannot change it, only the last one you can change it. So subnet mask is a kind of boundary. I use 255.255.255.0. So here, the first, remember yesterday you calculate 255 means 8 ones, right? So there is all are one, there is no gap here. So this is 24 bit, right? 8, here is 8, here is 8. So out of 32 bit, 24 bit is reserve. This is reserve. You can use only last 8 bit for your number of computers. So that means this many computers you can add in this subnet. But out of 32 bit, 24 bit is reserved. How we can tell network? When I type subnet. So subnet mask is telling network that how much bit I am going to reserve it for the network. So now you learn there are two terminology. One is called network, one is called host. Out of that 32 bit, something is reserved for the network himself. Okay? So now, based on that, I think maybe it will be a little complicated for you, but let's draw a diagram. So let's say this is my class. There is something called class format. Subnet range of IP address. Range of first octet. mass number of computer per subnet. Okay, these are the heading. There are 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So class A, class B, and class C. I'm going to write it down, then I'm going to explain to you. N dot H dot H dot H 1 to 126 2550 dot 0 dot 0 2 to the power 24 minus 2 2550 2 to the power 8 minus 2. Everybody draw this diagram. I mean this chart. Okay, class format, range of first octet, subnet mask, number of computer per subnet. Okay, so now you see that when you draw this thing, so now you see that what does it mean? So as I said, that there are in IP address there are 2 things. N means network, right? H means host. Host means computer, right? So if I have so when I see the IP address like this, let's say you see 1 10.10.10. Let's say Whenever you see this IP address, you first ask yourself what class it is. So range of first octet, that means the first one. You just look at the first one, 10. So 10 belongs to this range, right? So it is a class A network. If you see IP address like this, 129.10.10.100. So you have to say, okay, what class it is? You have to look only the first one, 129. So it's okay, 129 belongs to this, so it is a class B network. If you see something like that, let's say 192.168.0.16, so what class it is? It's okay, I have to look onto the first one, 192. 192 belongs to this, and it is a class C network. Okay? So whenever you look at the IP, you know what class it is, right? There is a range of first octet. The first octet means the first, not second, third, fourth, only the first, right? And there is a range. If you remember this range, then you can. So if it is class C, right, and you know there is a 32 bit, out of 32 bit, 24 bit will be reserved for the network. 24 bit will be. So if it is a class C, right? So classic characteristics, network 24 bit and host will be 8 bit, right? So if it is a class C, you know that out of 24 bit, 32 bit, 24 bit will be reserved for network. And that's why subnet mask 255, 255, 255. That means this is reserved. Only the last one will be there for the host. And how many computer I can connect? 2 to the power 8. Why 8? Because only 8 bit is empty. 1 8 bit, right? So 2 to the power 8. So 2 to the power 8 means what? 256 minus 2. So 254 computer I can connect. So 254 computer has 254 IP address, right? So I can start 192.168.0.1, 0.2, 0.3 like that way. Got it? So this is the way it is set up. So now, I think it makes sense that now if you go to that command, it's okay. First of all, when you see any IP, it's okay, it is a class C. As long as it is class C, the subnet mask will be like a first 3 bit. So you see, as long as it is class C, the first 3 number will be the same for all computer in this network. Only the last one will be the changing. And the subnet mask will be the same, like a 255, 255, 255. Only the last one will be the 0. That means 24 bit is reserved, right? And then now you know that, okay, I got the DHCP, now I know what is DHCP. So in this modem, in this my home environment, I have a DHCP server. Any organization, when you join a company, they have their own DHCP server. Your laptop is getting IP address from that DHCP server, right? So all those information you got. Now you understand what does it mean. All those things, it is very clear to you. Okay? Only one thing I did not discuss, that is called physical address. So physical address is 00-26.8 blah 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 some number. So every computer has a network card. Network card is a card built in with your motherboard or your laptop, right? So if you look at just go to the Google and just type network card. Just see how it is look like. Network card, right? So if you put the network card, right, you should see a lot of net. You see that? Those are the picture, right? Go to the image and you see a lot of network card like this, isn't it? So if some are, like that, some are wireless, some are, so many cards. In our laptop and iPod, those are wireless. Whereas in PC, mostly they have like this. If you open you see there is a cable here, you just put the cable inside it. This is the network card. Within this network card, there is something, like this network card is designed by IEEE. You know that IEEE, International Electrical and Electronics Engineers. So whoever the manufacturer, right? Let's say this is a company from China or Taiwan or whoever, they have to apply to IEEE that, hey, this year I'm going to make, let's say, 5 million network card. So they'll give you 5 million physical address. So each network card has a physical address. And guess what? This is just like a social insurance number. That in America, do you have two same social security number cannot be possible for two person, right? It is exactly IP address. I can use the same IP address in let's say in my home computer, I have 192.168.0.16. In your home computer also you can use the same IP, no problem. But the physical address in the world, my computer physical address will never match any computer in the world. Okay? So there is an authority who maintain this thing, right? So that's the way. Sometimes we found some bad guy did something, hacking or this thing, and FBI catch him. How? Because this MAC address you cannot change it, right? So they can find out, right? So this is the MAC address that it is identical, unique, right? So this is called MAC address. Every network card has their built-in MAC address, or MAC means physical address. So now it makes sense to you. You understand what is the MAC address too. Okay? So in lab 2, you can see that, sorry, not this guy, the other lab that we discussed, right? So all those things that so far we discussed, the lab. So now you know what is DNS, you know what is DHCP, you know what is IP address, MAC address, subnet mask, right? Now another thing I did not tell you, the default gateway. So default gateway will be there. So what is the gateway means? Gateway means the gate, right? So at my home computer, so again the same diagram, this is my router, right? And it has an address, right? Let's say 0. And this is my PC1. So PC1 has, let's say, IP address 292.168.0.16. So this is IP, right? Subnet mask, it is class C, right? So 255.255.255.0. Then default gateway. Default gateway means how I go to the internet. I go through him, right? So I have to, this is the IP address on my default gateway, 192.168.0.1. Right? If it is the DNS, so my DNS also will be the same IP, 192.168.0.1. If it is my DHCP also same IP, 192.168.0.1. If I have a PC2, right at my home, same thing, IP address will be 192.168.0.17. Subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0. Default gateway will be 192.168.0.1. Right, and DNS and everything. So only this is the difference. Other than that, this everything is the same. So default gateway means the router from where, because I'm going outside to the internet. This is my outdoor, right? I'm going outside from my home through him. So this is my default gateway. Okay? So these are, I think everybody understood. These are all terminology. Again, we are not making you as a network guy. We are just making you understand all those terminology, because this is the thing in the real world you will be facing, you will be discussing with the people, with the different team member. Right now, you understand those kind of things. Okay, guys. So there are a couple of more things I would like to discuss, and that's it for today. So then, what we'll be discussing, okay, now about the mailing stuff, right? So every organization you have a mail server, right? You have web server. So now when we go to the web server, I type here www:/http. So what HTTP here, right? HTTP www blah blah blah.com, right? Like this. So now what is this? It is So these are called protocol, right? Different kind of protocol that we'll be using in our in the organization or in the network industry, right? So so this is called protocol, right? That means different platform. So let's say my computer is a Unix, your computer is a Windows, another computer is a Apple, right? Another computer may be mainframe. So they should not talk each other because this is different platform, right? So we have to make some techniques so that they can talk each other, they can communicate each other, and this is all about protocol. So protocol is designed such a way. Remember the protocol officer, the Chinese guy and US guy, they talk each other. Chinese guy do not understand English, and US guy do not understand Chinese. So how they communicate? There is a guy in the middle who knows English and Chinese both. So he translates to both of them, right? So with him they can communicate. Same thing. Unix cannot talk to Apple. Apple cannot talk to Unix. Windows cannot talk to Unix. Unix cannot talk to Windows. So there is a protocol in the middle so that they can translate each other. So these are the lots of protocol we use in the world. And one of the protocol, so I'm right now writing down all the protocol. One of the protocol called HTTP. This is a protocol, nothing else. Hypertext Transport Protocol, right? What it does, it's communicate, right? Communicate with web server, right? We don't need to ask him what is your web server. My web server might be Unix, my web server may be Windows, my web server may be whatever it is. I don't need to ask him. I just say http://www.facebook.com. So my protocol, this HTTP, I'm a Windows machine. This guy, whatever it is web server, no problem. He can communicate with him, right? So communicate with the web server. Then we have SMTP, another SMTP. This is called Simple Mail Transport Protocol. In my lab, I think we have an abbreviation, so don't worry. So Simple Mail Transport. This guy, it is a send email. This guy is responsible to send email. Right? We have POP, Post Office Protocol or IMAP. This guy is responsible to download email. FTP, File Transfer Protocol. This guy is responsible to send or receive file from one organization to another organization, B2B. Let's say company, you have a client, your company is peopleandtech.com, peopleandtech wants to receive a file from xyz.com. They send the file by FTP, right? Then Telnet. Telnet is a protocol to communicate with Unix or mainframe, right? So these are the major protocol, right? So now before you learn IP, DNS, DHCP, subnet mask, default gateway, right? And what else? Those are the terminology, MAC address, right? All those terminology you learn. Now you are getting familiar to those things that every day we use in the meetings and everywhere we use those terminology. HTTP, SMTP, POP, FTP, Telnet. So now you know what is their function, right? POP and SMTP. So every organization, so everybody write it down, this thing, because this is important. So write it down. HTTP communicate with the server, SMTP send to email, POP, IMAP download email, FTP send or receive file from one organization to another organization. Telnet communicate with the Unix or mainframe. Okay? Okay. Now I'm going to show you. So let's say you are user A and another user is B. Your email is a@yahoo.com. His email is b@gmail.com. So this Gmail is a domain, right? And here Yahoo is a domain. So this is an organization, this is another organization. So Yahoo, these guys, has a server called SMTP server. SMTP. And they also have another server called IMAP. The Gmail, these people also has an SMTP server. And it also has an IMAP server. So when you send email, let's say you are sending email to b@gmail.com, from your computer, it comes to their SMTP server, right? This is number one. SMTP server find out, okay, I'm going to send it to the Gmail. So Gmail is the POP, right? So Gmail, these guys receive the email, right? This is number two. And then from here, it goes to his machine, right? When you reply on the B reply, opposite, right? So it comes to here, from here it comes to here, and here it goes to here. So every organization, when they have a mail server, they have two servers. One is SMTP, one is IMAP, right? So if you have a Gmail account, I'm going to show you right now. You can configure Outlook, because that is also another thing. So as a student, you always use email by Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, Hotmail, blah, blah, this and that, right? But in the real world, people don't use this thing. People use either Outlook, Microsoft Exchange, or people use, let's say, Lotus Notes, right? This is a corporate mail system. So you never use it. Your manager says, send you email or book a meeting. You say, I don't know how to do that. So this is we saw, like in the real scenario we saw, when people join, we found these people doesn't know what to do. So then easily we understand this guy never worked before, right? So now I'm going to make you familiar. Everybody must have a Gmail. If you do not have a Gmail account, do it today, okay? Create a Gmail account, it is free. So once you have a Gmail account, I'm going to show you a Gmail account. What do you have to do first? So let's say I log into my Gmail account. Right? When you go to the setting after login, then you see there is a thing called forwarding and POP/IMAP. You see that? Click that guy. And then make sure you click that button, enable IMAP. Click enable IMAP and save changes. That's it. You don't need to do anything here. Enable IMAP and click save changes. Okay? And then open Microsoft Outlook. So in my computer, I already have Microsoft Outlook. So this is the one you will be using in the real world. Most of the company, they use Microsoft Outlook. Right, so this is Microsoft Outlook. Now, when you go to the file, account setting, right? Let's say you click new, right? Email account, click next, right? Click manual setup, click this guy, manual setup, and next. And you want make it POP. In the real world, we'll be using Microsoft Exchange. right? But at this time we don't have exchange, so it goes POP. Next. And then you put your name. So I said, okay, Nizam. My email address, let's say I am going to PNT Canada at gmail.com. So my account type will be IMAP. And what is the incoming mail server? So Gmail, they have an income. So I type imap.gmail.com. My SMTP server, smtp.gmail.com. Now you know what is SMTP IMAP, right? IMAP means download, SMTP is sending. And the account name pnt at gmail.com, and then put your password. Right? And then click more setting. And then go to the outgoing server. Click this checkbox. Go to the advanced and click SSL from here. They have some instruction here. I think it is we use 465. So 993 is the IMAP port number. 465 is the SMTP port number. And click OK. And then click next. Now, if everything looks good, you should see there are two checkboxes, completed. Close it, finish. Close it. Now, it will create an account here on my Outlook called PNT Canada. You see that? PNT Canada. All the emails I'm getting here now. Okay? So I don't need to go to Gmail. I can get my Gmail account from here. Right? This is the way I can set it up. So I click new. I want to send an email to my colleagues. I want to book a calendar. I go to calendar. I go to new meetings. Right? I put the meetings from which is I'm going to be invite, location, room number, blah, 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 everything is here. Right? Got my point? So this is the way that you have to familiar yourself. So I have a document also I'm going to share with you how to set up Outlook. So this is also your homework so that by next class you can set up Outlook on your home computer. Right? Now if you do not have Outlook, do not ask me because it is not my business. So lab, somewhere I think we have it here. How to set up Outlook with Gmail account. So whatever I just said, everything is, I write it down with the arrow button and everything, okay? Step by step instruction. So you should be no trouble. You should be able to all the screenshot for 995, 465. Is it 995 or 993, I believe, I forgot. Anywhere, whatever, try both. And then, you see that? This is the way you can set up your Outlook. So then you have to try to make yourself familiar with Outlook because in the real world you will be using Outlook. Right? I can tell you at least 10 examples that we hire people and then we said, okay, set up accounts, set up, book a meeting or, invite you, send an email and introduce yourself. And they don't know how to do it because they never use Outlook in their life. They always use Gmail, Yahoo, and all those things. So then we can easily understand these people never worked before. Right? So like this. So you have to be familiar with this mailing system. Right? How to do this mailing. Okay? So now it proves that whatever I said yesterday, that this class to make you ready for the corporate world. Whatever you guys learned from the yesterday till now, each and every word, it is needed in the real world. Okay? So I'm going to upload you this kind of thing on the forum. 2 minutes. class node, right? So new topics, cnss, right? Q1-2016. Plus 2. So I'm going to give you, first I give you the DOS lab, right? This yesterday I gave you the DOS lab. Then this guy, right? I think that's it for now. These two lab, you got it? Okay, it is uploaded already. And you can now do. So you have almost whole week. So this whole week I give you already a lot of things. Okay? So don't be scared. Try to take the ownership, please, everybody. Make it done. If you can do all those lab and everything and whatever I just said, believe me, you will always appreciate your thing that I really know something. I mean, you know something, okay? So that is all about. And then you will feel interest about the computer. You will feel the thing of this thing. And to be honest, a lot of time people normally don't say to you this thing, right? So that's why computer, anything, music, anything, there should be a grammar. Without learning grammar, learning something is very dangerous, right? So you guys come here with a hope, and I believe if you really believe on us, you should really practice so hard about those things. And then once you understand those things, like you'll within next couple of weeks, your specialty program will be going to be start QTP. You'll enjoy QTP more better way, much better way. And then, as I said to you guys, always keep in mind that your 95% work is manual testing. Only 5 to 10% work will be automation testing. So if you want to really survive in the real world, you have to be as much good as possible those manual testing. And all the steps that from day one to today you learn from me, like yesterday and today, all are manual testing, nothing else. So next class, I'll try to train you a little bit Unix and all the other stuff. And there are a lot of other topics there. And you'll enjoy, right? So I think we did a very good progress. We did so many important cover. We covered yesterday and today. So next two class, I'm pretty much sure I can touch some advanced topics. But again, it depends on your thing, okay? Especially the two lab that we give, Windows lab and the DOS labs, right, we give you, plus enterprise application, a lot of theories, right? So there are theories plus labs, right, combinations of all those things. Hopefully you will practice this thing, right? And you don't need any, so do not blame that, okay, I come from accounting, I come from this. We know all those stuff, but you have some education. The people who have little education, 8, 9 grade at least, they can understand this lecture. This is nothing very complicated. So we assume that you have no knowledge. From that point we started, okay? Yes, something maybe you do not understand, that's fine. But if you do not, let's say you want to little explanation or you did not catch my lecture properly, then just go to the Google and type that topics and you'll read a lot of articles up there. But don't give up. That's the bottom line. You do not understand, that means you just give up. No, that is not acceptable, right? You have to keep working on that. And then, asking yourself, asking your colleagues and teach other people in the people and take. Everybody is ready to help you, okay? I think that's it for today. No more. I'm getting tired, man. So, Said bhai, I'm going to conclude. Anything else?
We are fine here. So, if anybody has any question? Yeah, Nijam bhai. In your classroom, we are okay here.
Okay, very good. So, okay, guys, I think you have few hours left for this evening, Sunday. Thank you for planning with me. So,